So we are going to create a text adventure story using Python programming. And the first question is, well, what are we going to write our Python programming with? And I'm going to use the Thonny IDE, Integrated Development Environment, and you can download that for Windows, a Mac, or a Chromebook, for example. Another option you could use is the VS Code website. They also do an app. So the nice thing about VS Code edu.com is it's all in the cloud, it's all in the browser, so you don't have to download anything and you can use it on different devices. We would use that, but actually it doesn't do a few things that I quite like. So you can't use time.sleep, and you can't use the Colorama library, and you can't do sound particularly with this one, but it does everything else great. So if that's your only option, you don't want to download anything, it's a great way to start. We are going to use Thonny, and it's a free download. There's no viruses or adware or anything to worry about. It's very reputable, been used for a long time. So once you've downloaded it and got it set up, you can open it up and you can basically write a command. So we might write a command like that, and then when you run that, it appears in the shell down here. And if you want, you can change the settings. If you go into tools and options and themes, you could potentially choose a dark font and a dark internal layout as well. It can be a bit less dazzling. I'm going to stick with the let's stay with the dark. You can do lots of other things in here as well, like change the font. I like Century Gothic size 12, but if you're on a PC, you can also hold the control key and scroll in and out like that. So this is our IDE, and we are now going to create a text adventure. Okay, so far we've got a single command. It's a print statement. It says hello world. That's not exactly setting the world on fire, so we can develop a better storyline. So I don't recommend writing really long sentences. If you go off the right edge of the page, it's very easy to sort of miss out if you've made an error. So it's quite nice to keep it so the sentences are short. Okay, so we've got 3 sentences now. If I press play, you can see them appear in the shell at the bottom. And one of the nice things to do is to use the time library. So to do that, you have to import the library. You only have to do this once. You do always tend to import libraries near the top of your program. Now then, that means you can do time.sleep. Okay, now I don't recommend doing like 10-second pauses. Let's do 1 second for now, because you're going to be bug fixing this. You're going to be running this program for some time, so you will find if you've got like 5-second pauses, it drives you crazy after the 50th time you've bug fixed it. But anyway, here we go. We've got an output. We're telling our story. Now, what if we want to make it so that the guard says something? So if I say the guard says, "What is your name?" Now you can see that it's mucked up. So because these speech marks are important in Python, so this is the beginning speech mark, it thinks this is the end speech mark, therefore it thinks this is code, and then it goes back to a new pair of speech marks. So how can we make it? If we try and run this, you'll see it gives you a syntax error. Syntax errors mean you've got a spelling mistake or a missing piece of code. So how do we make it so the guard can say something and be in quotes without it mucking up our Python code? Well, we can use escape characters, okay? And this basically says ignore what comes after me, okay? So it's quite common for people to sort of put these after the speech marks. That's not good, that won't work, because it's basically saying ignore that one. We need that one as the second in our pair of speech marks that wrap around the text. So what we actually want is it to be just before the speech marks we want it to ignore. So now when we run the code, you can see it is outputting these speech marks, but it's in programming terms it is ignoring them. Okay, so we want the person playing our game, we want the user to be able to type in a player name. So if we write name, that's a variable. A variable is a value that can change. And then we're going to use an input statement and some instructions. So if I run this now, I will be able to save a value, assign a value to this variable. Now a couple of things about variables. So you don't want to start with capitals, you don't want to start with a number, and you don't want to have a gap in between any sort of two elements of the variable name. If you really must have one, use an underscore. Okay, I'm just going to use name, and this is an input statement, and then I'm going to use that in a sentence. Okay, so the guard is going to say something. It's going to say the person's name. You are going to be here for a long time. Cue evil laughter. Okay, so let's run that. So the game has paused. It's waiting for the user, the human being playing this game, to enter a name. So if I write, that's my player name. So you can see that when the user, that's me, saved this into this variable, I can then use that in a sentence. So variable name, comma, and then this is string. This is a data type string, which is just text. Okay, so variable, comma, and then text. Okay, so let's move on. So before we move on from text, I just wanted to show you the Colorama library. So you add these lines of codes here. So from Colorama, and it's spelt the American way, so no U, and import init, comma, capital F4, and then init are underneath it. Now what that means is you can now change the color of the printed text, the output in the shell. So I've added this command here. It's a print statement, but no brackets or anything, no speech marks. We do have brackets, 4 with a capital F, dot, and the color all in capital letters. If we run that, anything after this line 5 command will be in blue. Now you can actually do lots of different colors, including red, green, blue, white, magenta, and cyan. But you can't do endless colors. You can't do pinky, blue, whitey, yellowy, whatever. There's only a limited number of colors. So if I want to change it, I can put another command in like that. And you can see that the first line of outputted text is blue, because line 5 sets any subsequent lines of code to be blue, but then I've done line 8, which is telling it to go red, so any print statements after this are being commanded to be red. I'm actually going to take those out just to keep my code relatively simple for demonstration purposes. Okay, so that's 3 things to get your teeth into. Start to tell your story. In the next chapter, we'll look at making decisions, making choices using if statements.